Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 audio commentary. This is going to be a 2v2 game on the map Avalanche LV, and it's going to be dual undead against orc human. And this is going to be me and Steph playing against two guys that we sort of know, but I haven't really played a ton of games with either of them. I think I've played like a couple of games with both, so I don't know a ton about their playstyle and everything. Yeah, this game is going to be pretty interesting because we're dual undead, and this is Steph's off-race. She hasn't played undead in a while, but she's just going to be doing this sort of basic fiend, crypt, graveyard, altar build order for early fiends, and she is going to be going for the Crypt Lord because he is quite strong at the moment after numerous buffs over a handful of patches. In the meantime, Purple is going to be going for Archmage Rifles, so his hero will be delayed. Blue is going to be going for Farseer Headhunter, and he's going to get an early hero, but this is sort of the standard build for this, I think. Like, the altar early, and then it takes a while to get, like, the Wyrm and the barracks going, if you continue to get, like, burrows and peons and stuff, so. But yeah, he's able to creep his green relatively quick. Notice my hero's not even out yet. And Steph's isn't either. So they get a green camp, and now they're going to go do this fountain together. And this is actually something that these summon heroes like the Farseer, Headhunters, Archmage, Rifles, or even Footmen can do relatively well. You could do it too with like a Death Knight or a Crypt Lord. The Crypt Lord's a summon hero himself. But yeah, they're, and Purple pulls like 4 militia, which I think is just a mistake, because by the time they get to the camp, they're already like halfway done, maybe even like 60% of their timer is already run out. So like, how many attacks does he really get? Like, he gets 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 sort of volleys or attacks from each of the militia, and then he has to pull them back. And they're still not going to get back to the base like quickly, because they're going to turn back into peasants, pretty much. So like, was it worth it? They could just heal there afterwards anyway if they take damage on water elementals or, wolves or whatever. But yeah, Steph's doing a pretty good job of doing this build order. She gets everything sort of on time. I told her to get a 3rd ghoul after a 2nd fiend if she's going to go for an early expo. It seems to, and then build an acolyte. It seems to work out pretty well on most maps with the Crypt Lord doing that. So yeah, I'm going to get a sacrificial skull. I crept this green instead of clearing the rocks early, so I was a little slow to get in here. And it's going to be way easier to creep this together. The downside is we are splitting experience from one single camp, so it would have been risky for her to take this and me to take this, like at the same time, but it possibly would have allowed us to get leveled a little bit quicker at the expense of taking more damage, but we do it this way just for safety purposes. Purple comes in from the right side. Blue, I don't know if Blue saw that there was doesn't look like he noticed that there was in the replay. You can't really, it doesn't even look like there is a hole, but there is a hole in the rocks. So he's going to run all the way back to get with Purple. They don't want to get trapped in here. They don't exactly know they can win a fight, honestly. So it's probably smart they don't just like commit here. They've crept both the fountains. They're in decent shape in terms of their heal levels. I'm 2 because I crept the green. Steph is only 1 because she sort of went in there without creeping the green. It would have been useful to have Impale here for sure. She's got almost 200 mana, but alternatively, if I would have just cleared these rocks, we could have perhaps done both of these camps and still gotten 2 and had like extra, some better items. But that's just not the way it went. So yeah, we're gonna be trying to get an expo up. And at this particular time in the game, we're on our side of the map, so that should help us. Purple runs in there, which was, again, probably just a mistake. Like, they split up, so Blue ends up losing like a Headhunter, and now Purple's got to run, so now they're pushed back. And Steph does get level 2, which is very useful. But yeah, at this point, I'm sort of assuming, since they were like already over here on our side of the map, that they have not crept the expos. The timing, well, it's possible that they could have maybe gotten one of the expos in, getting, clearing the rocks and getting an expo up, and then still showing up at about that timing seems quite unlikely that they would be able to do it that quickly. So, not impossible, but my assumption is that they just crept the fountains. I don't know if I scouted our fountain. but I was assuming that they had possibly done both fountains. I don't remember if I checked their items, but they did have like the crystal ball and the pinion of energy. So they're going to do this mercenary camp after this shop. They got a scroll of the beast, which is a very good item. It's like a one-time use item, but it jumps their damage up. Anything that it hits without magic immunity on their side is going to jump it up by 25%, which is a pretty serious boost in damage output. So, and yeah, they're just basically massing ranged units. Steph's at 29 food. She's probably about to get a ziggurat, so I guess that's okay. She's got quite a lot of gold. So yeah, I'm sort of spending my gold a little bit better than Steph is here, but it's okay. So she actually does have a decent sized army though. So I'm at 38 food. She's at 29. Some of that's like acolytes for me though. So she needs to probably be getting her second hero already. Like, she's got the resources to do it. There's not really either get the second hero or a slaughterhouse, or maybe even a shade pit. The shade pit doesn't really offer anything at this particular timing, you know, mid game. Even if you get shades, like we sort of know where they're at right now with their armies. We could check and see if they're expanding, maybe what they're getting. Oh, that was brutal on my part. Yeah, it was sort of arguably a mistake to leave the, if we assume that the enemies play actually smart, it's a little bit risky to leave the Belt of Giant Strength and the Ruined Bracers on the Crypt Lord. The reasoning is, and it applies to sort of any kind of hero combination where you have one healer and one sort of pretty good tank. You know, I like to leave sort of some of the tanky items on the healer simply because, like, the synergy is going to work out where if they just focus your tank, like the Crypt Lord in this example, assuming that Death Knight was still alive, I can just heal it. So if they're putting a lot of damage on your tank hero and your healer is just left alone, it's not a big deal because you're going to be healing. And if they decide to focus your healer in that example, if I would have had, you know, the belt or the Ruined Bracers, you know, it would have been much harder for them to kill that Death Knight there. I think the timing would have worked out that they just wouldn't have, but it's also possible they only focused the Death Knight because the Crypt Lord had the tank items. So yeah, it's not necessarily, like, it's a little bit hindsight. You know, I could have microed better. Getting caught with Hex out in the front with the Death Knight was a big, like, just a big blunder for me. Not to, you know, say that, you know, we made such a big mistake leaving the Crypt Lord the items. And again, you know, if I keep my Death Knight back, it's not an issue. Like, then they're going to be more sort of, oh, that Fiend is blocked in by his wolf. That was really annoying. I didn't realize that. But yeah, this is where they sort of, you know, they overextend a bit. They're going to fight next to this Nerubian Tower. I don't do a great job of splitting the attacks, which, you know, can sort of, it's a lot of effort, but you can slow down, like, at least 2 units or heroes or whatever. But they, you know, they waste a lot of time doing damage. They do kill it, which is bad, but they do take a lot of damage. We're going to come in here. I've got you know, fiends popping out right here at the crypt. Got another crypt over here. I'm going to pull some lumber ghouls. Steph's tier 3. Did she pick up the orb? She did not get the orb just yet. Again, generally you want to get that orb as quick as you can, but I understand why she had the Lich, like, in the battle. That's cool. So we hold the Expo. So now it's like, okay, they've got a little bit of a hero level advantage, just slightly. I think the Orc is, yeah, he's nearly 4, and he's like a little bit over 2. The human is like 3.6, 3.7, and then like 1.5 in terms of levels. So 3-1 is the same as 3-1 in terms of like their impact. But as soon as they level, if they're closer, which of course it seems like, well, actually Steph is about on pace with purple. So really it's just like blue that's got the noticeable. Like his second hero is 2. Now his first hero is 3. Or 4, excuse me, it's 4. So that's a pretty big deal. And he's got Torrens. So in terms of the tech, slightly earlier tech from them. Notice that Steph has 2 Spirit Towers and no Nerubian Tower. A little bit of an interesting choice. Those are very expensive towers to get. Not that they don't, you know, do work in terms of damage, but But yeah, they do come with quite a hefty cost. So, and again, if somebody sees 2 spirit towers, they're generally just going to avoid it. So a lot of times you end up spending resources, and it's not, sometimes they do end up fighting there later, so it's not actually, doesn't come down to be that big of a problem. But yeah, I'd much rather maybe have the towers like at the expo, if anything, because you already have like the Black Citadel or the Nerubian, or the Halls of the Dead in the main. So, but just, you know, just a small thing. So yeah, blue is going to be a little bit out of position, but he is creeping. Like, they've basically crept every big camp in the mid, which is actually very bad generally. But purple is way out of position. He didn't get Divine Shield. He went Devotion Aura. So he's being very aggressive. He actually, I think he lost his Blood Mage creepiness too. So big mistakes. This is probably through the game. Like, if they're together and they fight us, you know, I still think we win, but it's, you know, it's not going to be as much of a sort of just slaughter as it is right here. So so yeah, the shade came in handy there. We were, you know, together, good timing, good positioning. Now blue's going to come join him, but let's see, where's the shade? I think I scout them with the, well, I see that they're on this side of the rocks, and again, it's a little choke, so it's like, okay, well, if they want to try to come through that choke, I don't really care. And if they want to stay outside of the choke or start attacking it and make it larger, we're just going to pull back and hit purple's main. Like, I see purple's main is not very towered with the shade, so I'm like, okay, wide open. These peasants are actually damaged already. I should go cleave, just like try to get in there, but it's a little bit risky. And we kill this altar. Actually, they've got 2 heroes that they're not going to be able to revive. They could possibly, actually purple doesn't have a TP, so blue could TP, but purple's got to run, so they end up just running. They're gonna actually, I don't know if they actually lose this altar here. I think I start focusing the peasants, and we use or Steph using a pale there. Maybe we do kill this altar. Their army shows up, so now I'm like, I don't know, the paladin's about to pop out, the Death Knight's hexed. So I say we need a TP. The other thing is we don't really have, right now we don't have an answer for these Tauren. Steph built these boneyards, but they haven't, the Frostworms are just not out quite yet. So when they do come out, we should be in pretty good shape, because we stopped their expo attempts. We killed a lot of peasants at purple's main. And Tauren are going to take tons of damage from the Frostworms. And, you know, if we fight like at our base, we're going to have Blight and Towers. And we can sort of force them to fight, either fight at our bases or try to expand. But I think it's going to be a little bit hard for them to get an expansion up in time before we ramp into just an army they can't stop. Like, the timing is going to be weird. I've got way too much gold. I need to float all this gold to Steph. I'm pretty sure I do. And oddly enough, I think she cancels. Did she cancel? Or did I already float the resources? I feel like
our brethren's town is under attack.
6.
Our forces are under attack.
Yeah, we're gonna have a battle here though, and this is good position because we're on. I mean, the blight doesn't help them, but we're on the blight the whole battle. We're getting the benefit from the spirit tower, the Black Citadel, sometimes even a second spirit tower. Smart of blue to hex the wyrms. If that's level 2 hex, it's very effective against wyrms. This is one of the reasons why, at least in 2v2, but just in general, wyrms are a little bit of a high risk, high reward play. Like, there are some pretty strong counters just because they cost so much. Like, kind of like hexing a Tauren or hexing, you know, a mountain giant with no skins or whatever, or any kind of like really expensive unit that you can hex. You know, it's going to put it out of commission for a really long time. So, you know, that's a lot of DPS that's just shut down. Kind of like Banish as well, Banish or Polymorph or whatever. We pull back because we want these towers hitting, we want the Tauren and everything chasing into the towers, and, you know, we also want to spread the units so the Tauren pulverize isn't just obliterating us. So yeah, they're going to be a little bit heavy on the sort of focus fire. They're trying to go for heroes or the Frostworms. They have a lot of piercing, so it makes sense that they would go for the Frostworms that take double damage from piercing, because their armor type being medium, or sorry, not medium, light armor. Light armor takes 200% from piercing attacks, and I think it takes 100. I think it takes 150 from magic attacks, if I remember correctly. So not quite as much, but again, still a little bit extra. So yeah, Steph's at 50 food. Did I feed her? I know at some point I feed her. Like, I swear at some point, like, she gets to, like, she pulls back to 50 and then I feed her. Like, I don't know. I forgot it was like good communication or smart plan on her part, or both, or just a coincidence. But yeah, pretty solid. She's picking up an orb.
Our forces are under attack.
My army. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit too greedy here, aggressive, and pushing in. I'll lose a statue. Steph was like getting her orb and stuff at her base. So so yeah, that was a little bit of we weren't on the same page there. But anyways, I pick up an orb on my Pit Lord. I'm really close to 3. So Cleave, Halotera. Again, I get a Pit Lord because I felt like, you know, the extra like tanking. At the moment that I got him, they had Tauren, and we really didn't have anything like too much in the front line. We had a couple of strength heroes like Death Knight, Crypt Lord, but we don't even, you know, we're not going to rely on beetles now that they have Spear Walkers. Smart that Steph's not like going too hard on that, even though I guess we killed the Spear Walker. So, but yeah, focusing more on Impale and Nova and stuff. And it's not that the Lich wouldn't have been great. We would have had like double Nova, Coil, you know, would have been strong. But I think Halotera is actually also very good. You know, his stats are pretty good. Cleave, another good spell. Obviously, it's not quite as like crazy as Nova, but it does give you a lot of value if you can get like an orb, gloves of haste, and stuff like that. So yeah, we have a battle here. The positioning is great for us. Statues in the back, queens in the back. The Tauren, not exactly getting in the greatest like pulverize. Hopefully, a couple worms. Web for the Dragonhawks. Normally, Dragonhawks would actually be a very good counter, except when you just have like mass fiends to go with the worms, which you typically will. Web is just really strong against Arrow Shackles and Dragonhawks. They are doing a decent job of sniping out these frost worms. The problem is, though, it means that they're focusing most of their damage on the frost worms and not dealing with the heroes or the fiends. So eventually they're just going to get whittled down. The value from these statues is insane. Just the amount of healing we can potentially get per statue. We can get a maximum of basically 120 hit points healed per second if they're both on healing. Now we do need like 6 targets per statue to get the full healing, but I assume we can get somewhere around that maximum for most of the battle. And they can also give mana, so you know, generally you can have one on mana, one on healing. And yeah, we pretty much crushed that battle. The Tauren just melt in the face of the worms. So yeah, we're in good shape here. And we pretty much crushed that battle. They're just now getting their expos really running. 8,000, 8,700. So, you know, they mine about 2,000 and 1,300 gold. So yeah, we, you know, in terms of the resources, we got the lead. In terms of the units at the end, better. It was better for us. And sort of the sustain, I think, was better. They did have like a paladin to heal. They had a shadow hunter that could heal wave, and they had spirit link. You know, all that stuff's great. And I think they had 1 or 2 priests, but I think we outpaced them a little bit with our healing and definitely our damage output. You know, worms against like clustered ground targets. That frost breath really mitigates their damage, and the fact that he went Dragonhawks instead of I'm trying to think. Flying Machines probably would have been slightly better for 2 reasons. One is you can't Nova. You're not going to hit Flying Machines with Nova or Death Coil or, you know, anything except for like maybe Carrion Swarm. Let's see what else. They're not going to take double damage against like all the fiend attacks. They will take double damage against like the magic damage of the frost worms, so that's a bit of an issue. But they will also be doing double damage to the frost worms. Also, if they're going to try to web everything, if you have like 10, 15 flying machines, chances are they might not have 15 fiends. So you can still like get in there. If you only have like 4 or 5 dragonhawks, for example, or even 6 or 7, they probably will have between 5 and 7 fiends at any given point. So webbing your entire air army, and that prevents you from hit and running, prevents you from kiting, from getting in and out. And if you have to pull back and you're webbed, all your agents are webbed, they're just gonna die. Like, so if you lose like, let's say you lose like 6 dragonhawks versus 6 flying machines, a pretty huge difference in terms of the resources. Like 6 dragonhawks is like 1,200 gold, so it's basically double the gold of the flying machines, and the experience is going to be much more, so that the enemy gets. So, but anyways, we can look through here the score and see what exactly was going on. One of the biggest things with the resources, like I got my expo up very early and held it, so and they didn't get theirs up, so basically all 3 of the other players were sort of in a similar situation. They were able to contest Steph's expo a little bit, and hers was like quite late compared to mine. So, and again, that's just sort of the way the timing worked out. It wasn't like she played well, is what I mean to say. So, but yeah, if we total up these, which I think is like I'm pretty sure this is the net gold, like with upkeep accounted for. I don't know if it accounts for like every source of gold, like pillage or transmute or any of that, selling items, or creeping, but most of that stuff, didn't apply to this game anyway. So, so yeah, we can see I mined about 5,000 gold more than the player on their team that had the most, and then Steph and LuckStar mined pretty much the same. She was slightly ahead, like 100 or 40 gold or something ahead. So, very, very close. In that, so we can basically say we had about 5,000 extra gold to work with, and that is quite a lot, even though, maybe the game I think was like 18 minutes or something like that. It's just a lot of extra gold to work with. Hero kills, Steph got the high score there. Unit kills, she got the high score there as well. Largest army, we both ended up with 69, which is pretty interesting. She killed one more building than me, so props there. I did end up floating her like 1,200 gold, so a little bit of the bank. There, or resources. I don't know if some of that was lumber, maybe. But yeah, that was a pretty good effort. Pretty good performance from both of us. I would say, considering it's Steph's off race, it's more impressive. That she did relatively well there. So yeah, it was good to get that win, and yeah, sort of, I don't know if she knows the 2v2 maps. I know she's played this map before, but she generally, I think, mostly plays the bigger team games, so. So yeah, but as far as if that was a sort of ideal creep pattern, it probably is. Arguably, it is a big risk to give up both of the heal fountains uncontested, because they drop good items, and the fact that they can heal afterwards. If you creep the 2 gold mines, for example, and they creep the 2 fountains, you may or may not have sustained enough damage to where you don't really want to fight the opponent, you want to heal or something like that. Now we should be like tanking most of the damage with summon, so it shouldn't be an issue, but it is possible that they spread around some damage to units, and then it's like, oh, well, they're at full health when we go into battle, and maybe we're at like 85% or something. It's like, okay, well, that's risky. Plus, it's not very likely that the enemy is ever going to run up and take your gold mine creeps. So if you want to save those for later and just make sure you get like one of the fountains, and then if they try to like go do the other one, they might run into you guys at the fountain, so you maybe have a better position. It's just sort of controlling the experience. Like, we let them get 2 fountains in all 4 of like the center, like the 2 merc camps and the 2 shops. Those are big camps, and in terms of like the total experience on the whole map, they outcrept us, like, just point blank. Like, we got our gold mines, they got their gold mines for the most part, They got both, like I say, both fountains, both merc camps, both shops, and those are the big camps on the map. Like all the other camps are small green camps. So in terms of items, in terms of like potentially getting mercs or heal scrolls and stuff, they they pretty much were sort of in the driver's seat on those factors. But in terms of economy, which is where the early creeping the early gold mines comes in, you can sort of control that a little bit and say, okay, well, we're going to build these units and we're going to mass up these armies and tech and stuff, and and if you mine out all the gold mine, if you mine out your gold mines and they don't, it becomes an even bigger gap. But again, it's also not always easy to do that. So, but anyways, that's going to be the end of this audio. I'll tab through these score screen tabs, and if you want to look at them, I'm going to play one, like a little bit of a pretty cool song that Steph wrote, and played. So here we go. Some of a pretty cool song that she wrote. So anyways, that's going to be the end of this audio. ScryMind signing out.